Okay, I'm muted.
Notification.
Hey, Mike, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you back.
Well, I am showing 7 o'clock, so we are not quite at a quorum yet, I don't think. But we'll go ahead and get started. We'll call the meeting to order. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. There are flags at Walters and one as the background for Dawn. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I believe Phil will be joining us, at least earlier he was planning on it. So we'll hold off on the invocation here for just a few minutes, and we can't really move forward quite yet with trying to approve the minutes yet. But I do appreciate everybody joining tonight. Sorry about having to go back to virtual, but with the spike in COVID cases and the higher levels for Charleston and Berkeley County, we decided it would be easier just to go virtual. Walter offered to host us at his house. And I would love, we'll talk about this a little bit later.
Was it?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just one of those things just jumped. Huge.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
we missed it.
Just out of the frame to the bottom, right up close to the bank.
Walter has large critters jumping in the river behind him. So that may be a little bit of a deterrent for people who may want to come out kayaking.
No, they don't. They don't. You can't even catch these things on a hook. They're sturgeon. They're sharp-nosed sturgeon, and they just grub around in the bottom. But every once in a while, they jump out of the water, and they're big. Sorry.
The division meeting, because of the spike in COVID, had to change plans sort of last minute. So Walter was kind enough to host it out at his house, which is Colleton County, medium level. But with trying to do that during the week at night, we thought it better to maybe try and talk about doing that maybe in the fall on a weekend where it is more of a social, but also potentially work in some vessel examiner training for anybody who's interested. So we'll come back to that later on. You can be thinking about that. Go ahead and just sort of review some of my comments that I wanted to share. We did have the division meeting. Some of the things that I wanted to share that I pulled together for that, just to give you an idea where we are year to date. Of course, operational activities are down substantially compared to what we were able to do pre-COVID. I'm hoping at some point we'll be able to elevate that back as we get more facilities and get more crew trained and ready and able to go out. But for the time being, that is a little bit limited, more so than we would like. But we have been able to make some headway on the PE front. Susan has been doing the classes every month. We did cancel the one for July. Typically, it's a slow month anyway, but it's also, we ran into some issues. It was the same day as a division meeting. Susan was out of town, so we didn't have instructors that were readily available. So we decided just to cancel it. But so far, she's done 5 classes with 63 students so far, and she just finished teaching a boating skills and seamanship class. Walter was kind enough to help out with that. So she's been doing a good job stepping in for the big shoes after Chris headed south to Florida. So let's see, I'm going to pause for a second. I think we need one more.
You should count us.
Yeah. We need one more for the quorum.
Hi, Jenna.
Yes.
Well, I'm trying to do this thing. I don't get any volume on this Coast Guard thing.
Any volume?
No.
Hit the button on the top. We can go over that, but you know, push the volume button. Like bright red, meaning it's off right now.
I don't know where this.
You know those the buttons go on the top.
Yes.
So when it's red,
Yeah, there
Yes.
should be a volume button on your
I
computer.
did. How do I increase the volume?
so there's like a little plus sign on it.
Hold on, Phil Poole is calling. Yes, Phil.
I don't see plus sign.
Plus sign right on.
No. Okay, was it the one that I just sent today?
It just,
Hey, Bob Gerber.
Yes, sir. Okay, the first one I
Weird.
sent was incorrect, but the other one, I sent it out yesterday and again today.
See it?
No problem, no problem.
no.
Ed, can you hear me? It's Walter.
Tell you what, I will forward it to you
Ellie.
again.
Yes, sir.
I
Okay, thanks.
Take a picture.
All right. John, I've muted Ed,
Okay,
so let's just
All
press on.
and bear with me one second. I am going to forward the link. to
Joe Eagle
Phil.
just came on board.
Noise in the background. I appreciate if you would mute.
Okay. So Phil will be joining here in just a minute. So anyway, going back, 63 PE students so far for the Boat America class. Vessel exams year to date, we're at 253, large part by some of the work that Phil has been doing.
On February 3rd, 2019. The pilot of assessment 414 Chancellor prepares to depart from Fullerton Municipal Airport.
Okay, I think somebody has,
Pilot's
Joe's-
destination
Joe's
is
watching
Nevada,
video.
320 nautical miles to the north.
is someone
Although the
listening
conditions
to
in
the
Fullerton are
auxiliary
VFR, light rain is
workshop?
moving through the area
Joe
throughout the
Eagle.
day. Part of a low pressure trough lingering over much of Southern California.
All right.
Okay.
Go spin zap.
All right. Total hours logged so far, 3,492. There are a lot of people who have not logged hours yet. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and try and get caught up on some of those, making sure that everything is current. I was waiting for just a minute to see if Phil was going to be able to get in. I mentioned the operational activities. That's been a little bit more limited this year. with some challenges with facilities, cotsons, et cetera. Hopefully before the end of the year, we can get the opportunities to have more people getting out on the water. There have been a couple of air operations we've been able to do to support the gold side. So
Bill is online. Oh. John, you froze.
David, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, good to go.
all right. Okay. I love Zoom. The life jacket study, David is the coordinator for the state. There are 4 locations that will be doing the studies. Knocked out 1 so far. The others will be done by basically by Labor Day. So good work going on. Thank you, David, for heading that up for the state. Let's go back up now that Phil has joined us. Sorry about the challenges with the bad link that I sent out to everybody. My apologies for that. But Phil, if you wouldn't mind leading us in the invocation, please.
Sure. And thanks, David, John, for sending me that lifeline. I really appreciate that. All right. Grace be with you this day from God our Father. Would you please bow your heads then for the invocation? Heavenly Father, may your Holy Spirit come upon us as we gather here this evening in fellowship. Help us to anticipate the good in others and always be ready for the challenging aspects of our auxiliary activities ahead. Let us be grateful and give thanks for each other, for life, for health, and happiness as we, the auxiliary, volunteer to serve and support our communities here in the low country of South Carolina. Keep us always in your care, O God, as your grace, mercy, and love endures forever. Amen.
Thank you, Phil. We do have a quorum now, so if we could have a motion, first of all, the minutes from the May meeting. Keep in mind, June, we did not have a quorum, so there were no minutes from the June meeting, but they were circulated in the newsletter last month and this month. So first of all, were there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, can we have a motion for their approval?
So moved.
Bill makes a motion and Ed second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Going back to the comments from the division meeting, one of the things that was mentioned for new members, the pictures should be 5x7, which was a surprise to me that they want ones that big. But anyway, that is the guideline from this point on. The ID machine, Walter mentioned that earlier, apparently is broken and there's no ETA on when it will be fixed or replaced. There are some other flotillas that have been putting together missions, but in some cases they are short on crew. So that can be an opportunity for any of the boat crew folks who need hours. If we can schedule times when things are going on. And the other ask was if we have requests from station for things that we're not able to put together a patrol because of lack of facilities, to check with the other flotillas because they may be able to do something. Anyway, so that was one of the takeaways. Walter, do you want to talk about the Sea Scout program a little bit? Give basically the same update you gave.
Yeah. So I've been dealing with Sea Scout shipment #1 over in West Ashley. They have a 27-foot sailboat that they are putting into maintenance up at Dolphin Cove Marine on the Ashley. And they are maybe interested in having some people to assist with getting the boat ready to go back in the water, either in the form of working on the boat or helping to supervise the scouts that are doing the work on the boat. So don't be surprised if you see an email from me announcing an opportunity to go do some work with those folks. They might need painting supplies. I think I've got some bottom paint for them, but the other kinds of stuff, rollers and whatnot, I'm not sure what their budget's like, but I will let you know.
Okay. Thank you, Walter. Other things, the election committee for the division elections will be Vito, Rick Bankert, and Joe Livingston. And the last thing from the meeting that I remember worth noting is that they're going to recognize an auxiliarist each quarter for special efforts that they are making. So look for more information to come out on that. Walter, anything else of note that I might have missed from the division?
D-Train. We've all been getting some announcements and email about the deal down in Orlando in September. And I just was looking at the agenda beforehand. There are some classes going on down there. If anybody wants to go, it's a good time to catch some of the sea schools or other auxiliary training in one spot. I'd be interested in doing the off paddle thing. I'm not sure I'm going to go yet. I have to figure out what their restrictions are on COVID stuff. But if I'm going, I'll let you know, and I'm happy to carpool, things like that.
And unfortunately, that may be one of those things that changes right up to the time of the event. So
yeah, tough to commit to a hotel reservation if you don't know whether they're going to let you into the county or not.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it as far as stuff on the division.
Okay. Dawn, officer reports.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
Let's see. I'll try to read my
Hello.
notes here. I didn't have my regular checklist here. Thanks, Sean, for helping me out. Okay, let's see. Husto, are you on?
Yes.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Do you have any amendments to your report?
No change other than the financials in the newsletter.
Thank you. Philippe, are you on? Philippe's not, okay. John Fasanito. Nope, okay. I have a little amendment to marine safety. There is a new class being introduced via Zoom, and I'll be sending that information out shortly. It's a research qualification that is auxiliary only that you can get through a virtual training. So I'll be getting that out to you in the next day or two. Bob Gerber.
Nothing really new other than if I can keep Dr. Phil working, we're good. And you guys supposedly did a kayak thing over at Walters the other day, and I never heard if anybody did any VEs there.
No, the picnic was moved to another location, Bob, and we did not have any formal vessel checks done there.
Okay, all right. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Susan. No, Susan's not on. Walter, member training and comms.
On comms, we have a request from division. We have a request from Division 7 to provide some alternative sites for post-hurricane our Rescue 21 backup services. Haven't fully digested that one yet. It's due beginning of August, so I'll have to get cranking on that. I'm going to need a comms officer. I doubt we have any on the calls here. I'm going to need an inspection on my facility because of the relocation. The only way to update the new location is to reoffer the thing, and that requires an inspector. Other than that, nothing to report.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and
And
on the member training thing, I am thinking that we could do a vessel examiner class with some chances to do vessel exams after the class, whenever we want to try and schedule something out this way.
okay. And what about HR?
Nothing. I don't have any active prospects right now. And we've already talked about the ID card machine and the pictures, so nothing.
Okay. And is Scott on? No, okay. I just want to thank Mike for his hard work on the newsletter and Kathy for doing the minutes, although we didn't have minutes last month, but she always does a great job. And that's it. Thank you, everybody. And I'll turn it back over to John.
Oh, I do have one other thing. It's a job, although it doesn't show on the roster, rescue and survival systems. I've been asked to put together our request list for equipment for sector to buy for us. They did not give me a budget, so I don't know. Typically, we'd have maybe $1,000, give or take, to spend. I know we have a bunch of PLBs that are expiring next year. Batteries are expiring at 5 years. So I'm trying to find out whether we have to replace those out of our budget allotment, and if so, what the budget is. And if not, if anybody has any other requests for rescue and survival gear that they can think of, just email them over to me. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought I'd just switch cameras and jump right in. There we go. John, you're back on.
All right. Thank you, Dawn. Old business. Anyone have any old business? Hearing none. New business. There are a few things that I would like to talk about. First of all, Mike, do you want to give us any update on where things or how things are progressing with working with the stone?
Sure. I think everybody's seen the summary of my visit that John had sent around. So I'm not going to repeat that, but essentially the greatest need of the stone is for quarterdeck watchstanding. So far, we have a total of 10 people who have expressed interest in doing the watchstanding. 7 from our flotilla, 3 from 12-4, the Myrtle Beach flotilla. John was in touch with the flotilla commander there. And then actually it's 11 because there's one additional person, at least one from 12-8, Randy Glass. He and I both attended the meeting and the lunch on the stone. I don't know if there are any other 12-8 members, but at this point we're looking at 11. The tour, there'll be a familiarization tour on the 30th. You've seen information about that. If there's anybody interested who hasn't raised their hand in going on the tour, you would have to be interested obviously in the quarterdeck watchstanding. Let me know as soon as you can, because you have to fill out a FLETC form to get access to the through the gate, and the approval process can take a while, possibly. So if anybody's interested, please let me know. There will be details to come on, there's going to be a customized PQS put together by command for us to go through so we could qualify to do the watch standing, but I don't have any details on that as yet.
Okay. And Craig, I know you had asked Mike about the possibilities of some engineering type work. What I think, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the most pressing thing right now is if we get this started with the watch standing, as we work more closely with them, it's going to give us an opportunity to maybe find other avenues that we can do other things with them. So is that kind of a fair assessment, Mike?
Yes, that is, as I said, the immediate need is the quarterdeck watch standing. And the reason I think they would be so grateful to have the relief is, as Captain Carlson explained, that whenever the ship is in port, and you know, when they're gone for months at a time. They're away from their family. Working conditions are not ideal, obviously. And the last thing folks want to do when they're back in port is have to spend a day or a night on the ship. Everybody's required to spend 1 day out of 4 on the ship. Whatever relief we can provide for the watch standing will free up time for the active duty folks, and it would be enormously appreciated for morale at the very minimum. The next thing probably that we could start providing assistance with would be culinary assistance. You know, they would welcome any help in the galley that they could get. But we're really not that far along with that. But if anybody would be interested in that, let me know and we can find out more about that, or we will.
With that, that's one that we have to have the auxiliary qualification, I think, first. I talked briefly with Philippe. I was hoping that maybe they could help with training some additional auxiliarists for that qualification, but he said the people who are qualified to do the training is a very limited number of people. So I was hoping, because I know, Ed, you've been interested in that since you joined, and we haven't had a class other than I think there was one in Florida. Philippe was hoping to be able to get something done up here, but hasn't been able to get anybody, the qualified instructors in place. So I guess one of the things that I took from Captain Carlson being here is he's one who's anxious to find ways to work together and do things. And if there's some red tape that can be cut, he is willing to do that. So yeah, there are limitations on what can be done. Certainly have to follow all of the Gold side and our side rules, but I'm pretty excited about the opportunities that hopefully we'll develop with them, and ideally could be a good thing, a template for other cutters as they come on board here too. How about the ombudsman program, Mike? You and Kathy and Dawn are all ombudsman, and I believe you mentioned that is it sector or station that may need some additional assistance with that?
The open position is base Charleston. Sector, actually, the other, Philippe is the other member of Flotilla that's an ombudsman, and he has the record because he's ombudsman for 4 units, including station and 3 cutters. So we promised our ombudsman coordinator, Ken Weber, that we would mention this at the meeting. It's a position that has been unfilled for a while. The experience that they're having with auxiliaries has been very positive. And I think that the COs are more open to having auxiliaries as ombudsman. There was a great article, I think in the May newsletter by Bill Garvey on ombudsman. And if you haven't read it, everybody should take a look. So I would urge anybody who has an interest to think about it, read the article. You know, we've been ombudsman for about 6 or 7 months now. It's been enormously rewarding because it's a one-to-one assistance of Coast Guard families, active duty members, as well as their families. The training is very thorough. There's very constant support. And actually it's rewarding not only to help the families, but it's nice to have the interaction with the active duty folks as well. So if you're interested, I think any of the 3 or 4 of us who are ombudsman would be happy to chat with you about our experience, and we can pass your name along and certainly help you out along the way if you're interested.
Are there any specific requirements or qualifications that they require for people going into that?
Nothing that pertains to the auxiliary. There was no prior qualification that we as auxiliaries had to have to do the job. I mean, the primary qualification is, or requirement is, to be a spouse of an active duty member. There are exceptions made for auxiliarists, and there are a number of auxiliarists around, you know, around D7 in the country that are ombudsmen as well. There is training that's required. There's an online course that has to be taken. It's actually done through the auxiliary, you know, course testing system. Although, again, you don't have to be an auxiliarist to do it. Like spouses would do that. Then there is a 3-day, 17-hour, now it's virtual training course in being ombudsman as well. There's a background check that they perform. And beyond that, those are really the things that you have to go through. But again, there's no auxiliary qualification that's necessary for an auxiliarist to do an ombudsman, at least that I'm not aware of. And nobody has said to us, hey, wait a minute, you have to do this or that. That hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
Just to clarify, base is actually on Flexi. It is separate from the station, but they did get.
Can everyone hear Dawn?
No.
I just want to clarify that base is actually on Flexi as well. It is a subunit of sector, so it is not down at the station. There's always a large confusion about that, and it's probably a medium-sized unit that that person would have to deal with. The position from ombudsman at sector has been filled.
John, I just want to go back and add one other thing about the stone and the watch standing. For those of you who filled out the Flexi form, it really wasn't terribly difficult, but every time you go onto Flexi, you'll have to fill out a form and get a day pass and the like. For those who become, if this program gets started, or when this program gets started, and those who are regulars, the Stone will sponsor those people who are regulars to get Flexi passes, a 1-year pass. So you don't have to go to the visitor center and get a temporary pass every time you go, which will make the logistics a lot easier.
I'm glad they're able to do that, because that will make it a lot easier for people who are going regularly. Get on.
Hey, Mike, I just want to make sure something to check with them. I'm going through this process for the clearance for the IMAT. I'm on the incident management assistance team that's actually at sector. And so please, when you submit my name as one of your shortlisted people that are interested, make sure they know that although I won't be sponsored by Stone, I would actually be sponsored by sector, the IMAT team. And I want to make sure that there's no like restrictions that they think that I'm getting on base for one purpose and doing something else. So I just want to make sure that you ask the question of people who are coming on base, like for example, Philippe, the fact that he's an ombudsman, is he allowed to go and do quarter watch on the stone? Do you understand what I'm saying? I just want to make sure, is there a restricted limitation, problem, red flags, whatever?
Yeah, not that I'm aware of, David. Captain Carlson knows that I'm an ombudsman. I had mentioned it to him, and there was no conflict with that. The Flexi Pass gives you access to the entire campus. I don't think it matters where you go. So I don't think that would be a problem.
I think the main thing, just having had an incident happen where someone with base access was in areas where they probably shouldn't, just make sure if you are on, you are staying in areas where you should be, so we don't have other issues.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that conversation a little bit, FLETC has started requiring masks again. Now, if they continue to heighten that protocol for COVID, they may restrict visitors. When you do get an annual pass, it will say visitor. So they may ask you what your business is. So that would be really the only thing that could happen. And if they don't have a confirmation you have business there at the time, you could be turned away. So just be prepared to that if they do change due to COVID. But as of right now, no, you unless they ask you what your business is, you're free to go with any pass at any time.
Yeah, Kathy and I had access to FLETC back when the restrictions on campus were very, very tight right after it had reopened. And there was mask requirements and all. And we've been through there probably a dozen times in the last several months, and we've never been asked our business. It's always, as long as the green light shows when you wave your pass at the machine and they verify your photo, in our experience, it's been good to go.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about the ombudsman program? Okay. Next new business, we touched on this. I mentioned it and then Walter mentioned it also. Just get everybody's thoughts about doing a combination social event out on Walters. If you look on your screen and notice the Division 12, that is a live shot of Walter's porch looking over the Edisto River. It's a great location. We had the division meeting there and had some pretty doggone good hamburgers afterwards. So great location for a social gathering, but also combine a VE workshop as a part of it. Education is one of the tenets of what we do. And people see us out in uniform. There's sort of an implied expectation that we know some of the boating rules. So I think it's one of those things, the vessel examination course is one that is a fairly easy thing for people to do. It's great knowledge to have, even if you don't intend to try and beat Dr. Poole's records for the numbers each year. But it really is something that I feel like we should have as many people as possible having the knowledge as much as anything. So it's a great location, I think, to do that. We can do some examination sort of training on site with it. So wanted to open it up and get everybody's thoughts. Maybe toward the end of August, or really for me, September is better. It might actually be just a little bit cooler up there. So thoughts? Anybody? Yes, Ed.
Yeah, I would just like to say that, I don't really have any experience or anything, but I'd love to get training to be able to do something. My thoughts was going into food service, which really hasn't worked out, but I'd love to be able to do something to help out the group or whatever.
Okay, good.
Vessel examination would be a good one for you.
Yep.
Okay.
You can.
Yeah, just let me know.
Now that you've got the electrical code memorized, you can memorize the boating code and tell everybody what they're doing wrong.
Yeah, and just hopefully, is your life going up and down yet? Or?
No. No, I've got breakers that trip when it rains too much. But
Okay, all right. Well, we know we don't have to go into that.
I'll
Let me
talk to
know
you
if
about
you
the
need help.
electrical weirdness some other time.
Yeah, let me know if you need help.
But yeah, we can set up a variety of boats out here. We can have a couple of instructors. We can have computer access. You can do the online test. You can get trained. You can get your 5 checks right here between me and my neighbors who have been happy to help in the past. On one side, they are former Power Squadron members who used to do vessel exams themselves. So they understand the importance and they're happy to have people.
For anybody who has a kayak and wants to. For
So
anybody who
what
has
is,
a kayak.
not to interrupt, I'm sorry, but what is the latest with the food service? Anything?
So I had mentioned earlier that the requirements for the instructors for that program are very restrictive. And Philippe was wanting to have a class up here, but as of yet, he has not been able to get qualified instructors to be able to come up to do that. There was one food service class, I think, in Florida, but that is it so far. So right now we have, I believe, 3 people qualified as CAs in our flotilla, Philippe, Walter, and John Frasanito. Until we can get some additional training for others who want to go through for the CA qualification, the work on the stone is going to be limited to those. But as soon as, if we get any different updates from Philippe, we'll be sure and pass that out to everybody.
John, if you're talking to Philippe about this, ask him if there is a way for us to bypass the auxiliary instructors and have active duty serve as our instructors for that qual.
Yeah.
Most quals you can, and I think if Captain Carlson won't do that for us, nobody will.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that would be wonderful if we could do it. He initially thought that that was not a possibility, but if there's a way we can find a way to make that happen, I think that would be a good thing all the way around. Okay. Walter, I'll get with you and we'll look at some dates to possibly put something together. And anybody, if they have kayaks, a great spot to take it out on the water. And
yeah, we could set up a paddle if somebody wanted to do that, just a couple miles downstream.
Yeah. And bonus points for anybody who finds Walter's phone at the bottom of the river.
Or gets his elevator working.
Yeah. There's all kinds of merit badges that can be earned by coming out here and helping with this stuff.
Dr. Poole, I know this isn't something that I'd ask you about beforehand, but I have the advantage of being able to send the reports that you send each month to the Commandant, Commodore, and I don't know that everybody's fully aware of all the different things that you're doing with clergy. So would you mind taking a moment and just sort of bringing us up to date on some of the things that you have been doing?
Let's see, am I on mute? No, I'm good.
Oh, you're.
I'd be glad to. Thank you for the opportunity. The Auxiliary Chaplain Support Program has been created by the chaplain of the Coast Guard. And that was created in 2017. So it's been around a little bit. And the idea well, current information says we have 886 active duty Coast Guard members to every one Coast Guard chaplain. So I think you can sort of do the division there. That is way too many Coast Guard members for any one individual. So with that in mind, the program created the Auxiliary Chaplain Support Program, which is clergy members within your communities maybe your own pastor or minister or rabbi or imam would love to be a part of this, which they would be welcome. It does require a little bit of education. The minimum requirement is a master's degree, even though out of our 95 ACS chaplains that we currently have in the program, we have about 21 of those who have their doctorate degrees. The idea is that, for example, as many of you know, the sector chaplain for Charleston is Joe Seifert. And Joe has about 53 units that he is responsible for, and no absolute way that he could do deck plate ministry on all of those units. So in the Charleston area, we actually have, including myself, 3 ACS chaplains. And what we do is we actually go out to the to sector, to the stations, to the ANT teams, to the field offices, and do deck plate ministry. We visit with the folks. We do assessments of the command, making sure quality of life is good, concerns that are out there. And I can tell you, the number one concern right now in sector, well, not just sector Charleston, within the Coast Guard is housing. Housing, even in the Charleston area, Georgetown area, Savannah area, all that rental property for our auxiliary, or should I say Coast Guard members, it's really hard on those families, particularly the E4s, E5s, usually maybe 1 or 2 children, dependents. It's hard for them to have a good quality of life. So that's a huge concern. Another concern that we actually have right now, believe it or not, over half of the inpatient care for Coast Guard members, over half now of anybody that's admitted to a hospital for care is because of suicide ideation. I don't know if you can really see the severity of that, but that is absolutely horrendous status. Half of those going to a hospital that are members of the Coast Guard is because of suicide ideation for care. The Commandant of the Coast Guard, the District 7 Commander, they have all asked for clergy or for anyone that if you see symptoms or signs or warning signals from our Coast Guard personnel that they could be thinking about suicide, let someone know, let a healthcare professional know, let me know. Those are extremely critical things that we're looking at right now. We've just passed what we call change of command season. So anywhere where there is a Coast Guard unit, or whether it be an afloat unit, a shore unit that does a change of command, we do those. We do the invocations and the benedictions. If there is we're actually getting ready to do a wedding over on Johns Island on August the 2nd. So we do weddings, we do baptisms, we do, unfortunately, funerals, we do burials at sea. So we're quite busy with working directly with and directly for the Coast Guard via the chaplain in this particular case, Joe Seifert, who is the chaplain obviously there in Sector Charleston. So there is a lot of activity that we do. Me personally, I'm sort of the catch-all of anything and everything in Sector Charleston, but my forte is Station Georgetown, Ant Team Georgetown, and the field office up at Myrtle Beach. And whenever the need is arisen, then I'll assist the other chaplains and Chaplain Seifert anywhere from Charleston to Savannah and points south. So it can be a little bit busy at times in the year. We're in hurricane season right now. So we expect if we have, severe weather, that us chaplains will augment and be reassigned to everywhere that need is and support the Coast Guard in the disaster response. So there is many opportunities that you have as a auxiliary chaplain. If you're interested, I can go into much more detail. Currently, right now, I will have to say that I am the director of the Auxiliary Chaplain Support Program for the entire auxiliary, which I started right there as a sector chaplain in Charleston, and over the last, I guess, 4 years or so, sort of worked the way up the line or the command chain, and have really enjoyed the interactions that I am privileged to have with the gold side. But that does not, and I repeat, does not limit me in my dedication and responsibility to my flotilla, to the division and the district as the lay leader. So when I have an opportunity to say a few words to you at the beginning of a meeting, I cherish those opportunities. And I will never, ever turn down an opportunity to work with. And I've done many auxiliary funerals and many other support activities that you require. So even though our main responsibility is working for the gold side and my supervisory chaplain, I have a great desire and passion to always work with the auxiliary. And 12 years I've been with 12-6. Started with you, and Lord willing, I'm going to end with you whenever that is. But I just want to let you know, I am extremely proud to be a part of the ACS program. But quite frankly, my first allegiance is to Flotilla 12-6. And I'm very proud to call Flotilla 12-6 my home. So that's a little bit, probably talked too much, but John, thank you for that opportunity. But if anybody has any concerns or wants some more information, just give me a call, shoot me an email. Our pastors like to talk, so I'd probably talk your ear off. So that's all I got tonight.
Thank you, Phil. And thank you for all that you do for us, but also on a much broader level. That is absolutely vital work that you and your team are doing. So we thank you for that, and for your continued support of 12-6. When you look at the VE numbers that I mentioned earlier, quite a few of those were done by Dr. Poole. So any other new business?
Hey, John, isn't there a request that came out about supporting Coast Guard Day?
Supporting.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you. I'm drawing a blank though on.
There was an email, I believe, that was shared by, it came in directly to Ken Jones, but I believe the August 5th. So they had shared.
Yes. I sent Ensign Holland a note to ask if he wanted me to reach out directly, and he ended up emailing that point person, but I have not heard anything further from him. So I'll follow up with Ensign Holland on that. He's our Oxlow. For anybody not familiar with his name, but he's the Oxlow.
Is that Lighthouse Day?
I don't know. It's I think it's Coast Guard. Hold on. Did anybody?
Coast Guard Day, August 5th.
Yeah. So
Lighthouse Day is usually the hottest day of the year, so they asked us to go up inside the metal tube.
yeah, it was on. I just know I was CC'd on it, so I just want to make sure that's covered.
Let's see.
Coast Guard Day, it's August 5th. It's at short stay. And they're still working out times.
Yeah, Ensign Holland emailed the individual asking for details and asked him to send him some details so that he would push it out. So more to come on that whenever that comes out. I'll get that out to everybody.
We as ombudsman got a note, an invitation to Coast Guard Day. We pushed it out to our families. The time is 0800 to 1400 on August 5th up at Navy Short Stay in Monk's Corner.
Thanks. I'll come here. I'll take it inside. I'll be in a second. Good, thanks.
Any other new business? Awards, really only two things today. One, David, I received this at the division meeting. I don't know that it doesn't show up very well, but this is a certificate of appreciation to commend David DePlaus. The certificate of appreciation is awarded to recognize your efforts as Flotilla Commander of the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary. Your dedication and care of the members of your flotilla and your leadership and supervision of the work of your flotilla are commendable. Your diligence resulted in your flotilla being relevant, flexible, professional, and improving boating safety and augmenting and supporting Coast Guard operational, administrative, and logistical requirements. This was dated December 31st, 2021, signed by the National Commodore. So congratulations, David. Thank you. And Bob Gerber, we have a RBS device for you that I will get to you in the next passing. So it would be great to be able to present that in person. Actually, John Frazanito has it, so I don't actually have it with me. But,
all right. Thank you, sir.
So, absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything for the meeting tonight? I do appreciate everyone dialing in. Again, sorry for the change of plans with shifting back to Zoom, but I do thank everybody for dialing in. We will hopefully be able to come back to in-person meetings next month, but we'll have to just wait and see. We will continue to do them by Zoom though as well. So hopefully we can at least keep the attendance up a little bit. There is nothing else. If we could have a motion for adjournment. Ed, and a second with David. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all, and safe travels, David, and we'll talk to everyone later.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Kathy, are you still listening? Okay, I'm gonna shut it down.